All right, listen up, because I'm only going to tell this story once. It's a tale of ridicule, of triumph, and of the sweet, sweet taste of vindication. It's about a kid who dared to dream big, who was laughed at, scorned, and told he was an embarrassment. But he didn't just dream. He fought. He struggled and he won. And when he came home, he made sure everyone saw the truth. I was always the odd one out in my family. While my siblings were chasing after careers in law, medicine, and business, I was out in the fields, sketching the landscape, dreaming of a world where barren lands bloomed with life. I wanted to be a landscape architect, to transform desolate places into thriving ecosystems. But my family? They thought it was a joke, a ridiculous, futile dream. "You'll never make it, kid," my dad would say, his voice dripping with disdain. "You're just an embarrassment to the family. Stick to something real, something that makes money." My mom, "Why can't you be like your siblings?" she'd ask, her eyes filled with disappointment. "They have real jobs, real futures. You're just chasing some silly dream." But I didn't listen. I couldn't, because I knew, deep down, that this was my calling. So I packed my bags, left home, and set out to prove them wrong. The journey was brutal. I started small, working on tiny plots of land, turning them into little oases. But it was hard, really hard. There were times when I thought about giving up, when the ridicule from my family echoed in my mind, threatening to drown out my dreams. But I didn't. I couldn't. Because I knew that if I gave up, they'd win. And I couldn't let that happen. I worked my ass off. I studied, I experimented, I failed, and I learned. And slowly, but surely, I started to make a name for myself. I transformed barren lands into lush, thriving ecosystems. I turned deserts into gardens. And wastelands into wildlife sanctuaries. And people started to notice. Years passed, and I became one of the most sought-after landscape architects in the world. I had projects all over the globe, and I was making a real difference. But I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot the ridicule, the scorn, the disappointment. And I knew that one day I'd go back home. And when I did, I'd make sure they saw the truth. And so one day, I found myself standing in front of my childhood home. It was smaller than I remembered, and the once vibrant garden was now overgrown and wild. But it was home, and I was ready. I knocked on the door, and when it opened, there they were, my parents, looking older but just as stern. Their eyes widened in shock as they saw me, and I could see the questions forming in their minds. But I didn't give them a chance to speak. "Remember me?" I asked, a smirk playing on my lips. "The kid who had the ridiculous dream? The embarrassment to the family?" Their faces paled, and I could see the regret in their eyes. But I didn't care, because I was here to show them the truth. "I've come home," I said, my voice steady and strong. "And I've brought something with me, something I want to show you." I led them outside to the overgrown garden, and then I showed them my portfolio. I showed them the deserts I'd turned into gardens, the wastelands I'd turned into wildlife sanctuaries. I showed them the barren lands I'd transformed into thriving ecosystems. And I showed them the awards, the accolades, the recognition. Their jaws dropped as they flipped through the pages, their eyes widening in disbelief. And when they looked up at me, I could see the pride in their eyes, the pride they'd never shown me before. "But how?" my mom stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I smiled, a slow, satisfied smile. "Because I believed in my dream," I said. "Because I didn't let your ridicule, your scorn, your disappointment hold me back. Because I fought, I struggled, and I won. And then I showed them the final piece of evidence, a letter from the government offering me a massive project, a chance to transform a barren wasteland into a thriving ecosystem right here in our hometown, a chance to give back to the place that had once scorned me. Their eyes filled with tears as they read the letter, and when they looked up at me, I could see the regret, the pride, the love, and I knew that I'd won. I'd proven them wrong. I'd shown them the truth, but more than that, I'd shown myself the truth. I'd shown myself that I was capable of greatness, that I could overcome ridicule, scorn, and disappointment, that I could turn barren lands into thriving ecosystems, and that I could turn my dreams into reality. And as I stood there, looking at my parents, I knew that I'd come full circle. I'd left home as a ridiculed, scorned dreamer, and I'd returned as a triumphant, successful architect. And I knew that I'd never forget this moment. The moment when I'd shown them the truth. The moment when I'd proven them wrong. The moment when I'd won. So if you're out there chasing your dreams, facing ridicule, scorn, and disappointment, let me tell you this. Don't give up. Don't let them hold you back, because you're capable of greatness. You can turn barren lands into thriving ecosystems, and you can turn your dreams into reality. And one day, you'll look them in the eye, and you'll show them the truth, and you'll win. And that, my friends, is the power of belief, the power of perseverance, the power of turning your dreams into reality. And it's a power that's within all of us. We just have to reach out and grab it. And when we do, there's no stopping us. No ridicule, no scorn, no disappointment can hold us back. We're fighters, and we're winners, and we'll show them the truth, and we'll win.